Hi, I found the link.
Yeah. Hi, Cassandra. Hi, Susan.
Hi, Beth.
What a dreary day.
The whole month seems like it's been like that. We've had a couple of nice days. I
Yeah.
always have trouble finding the link for these meetings.
I take the agenda and then I just go on to Zoom and do it that way. You type in
Well,
the,
I don't know. What I did was I went to Town of Cohasset, went to agendas and meetings, and then it first pulls up advisory, and then you just have to go through alphabetically to affordable housing, and then you come to it. But it's just so many steps.
You could
Just
just
seems like,
go to the steering committee page.
oh,
well,
now that's clever. I don't think of that.
I just had, well, I
Little
don't know.
less steps.
I just went to the agendas and meetings, but I didn't think I was going to be able to find it in time, but I did.
Yeah, I had printed off the agenda, but then of course don't know what I did with it. I thought it was in my stack of paper.
I just thought maybe it was in that email you sent out yesterday, Cassandra, enclosing the minutes from last month. It'd be easy to put the link in there.
Sorry, no, that was just about the minutes. That wasn't for like the meeting link.
But it could be.
If in the future, if it is
It would be helpful to
for it
me.
Sure.
Because I get frustrated. I just keep going through and I forget that I have to go scroll through alphabetically. Because when I first pulled up, it was like the select board was there and it was like, where's advisor? And then I put in at the top under search, I put in Affordable Housing Steering Committee and it didn't come up. So I don't know. I get frustrated.
I don't know. I hear you. I usually try to print off the agenda when the link comes out, then I have it.
Well, I didn't look at the agenda because all I did was just go straight to the link for the meeting.
Yeah. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling better. Yesterday was the 2-month anniversary, and so I drove for the first time.
Good.
and I've been going to PT, which is starting to help, but it's such a slow recovery. It's a
Yeah.
long road.
Backs
But
are
it's
very tricky.
yeah, and especially the surgery that I had done, it's a very painful surgery and it's just a slow road to recovery, but it's getting better.
That's good.
So thank you. And I'm glad for that. And
Is
hopefully
that fearless leader?
be over with. What's that?
I heard
said,
that.
There's our fearless leader.
I heard
Yeah.
that.
Hey, Paul.
How was everyone?
Doing
Really?
okay. Our lovely day.
Oh, Mary's on the phone. That's good. So we have a quorum. Oh, there you are.
This is our whole crew.
Yeah, Mary, you're on mute.
We have no special guests today.
No special guests.
And I did ask last month rather, whether we're going to be getting a fifth person. You said that was not on the agenda for last month. So I was hoping it would be on for this month. Are we going to get another member?
Yeah, so that is that seat is for the planning or not planning. Cassandra, what was that seat? Was it master planning? That open seat?
Yeah, I think it was.
So I think that her seat was for the it was kind of a dual position, like for master plan implementation committee and then also just like a open citizen seat. Obviously with the master plan implementation committee no longer existing, it would just be an open seat for anybody to fill.
Are we doing anything to try to solicit another member?
I believe that our new communication specialist has put out an advertisement in the weekly updates on general committee and board open positions, but nothing like very specific to this committee. I mean, you guys are on there, but no specific advertisements.
Okay, so then we can get somebody then. If that committee no longer exists, then we can put somebody on as an open seat. Because that's a
Yes.
confirmation we needed. Yeah, we knew planning didn't want to come to our meeting because they were too busy with all of their own. So that was their consensus, and they said that if there was anything important, that I were to go to them and give them the updates instead. So we agreed to do that rather than them coming to ours.
Yes, I also would recommend, and I can try to look into it tomorrow. I know that Jen was planning to resign. I don't know that she officially has at this point. I
Okay,
didn't
yeah.
receive any notification from the clerk's office that she had, so she would need to officially do that before we replace her.
Yes, you just need to send an email, right?
Yep.
Okay. So, with that said, we have a quorum. Meeting is open. And, so basically, for the committee, to add a fifth person, I would recommend the rest of us find, somebody who would like to be part of, affordable housing. So I don't know in your travels, if you guys have anybody in mind that you would want to ask to be on, we could certainly do that. And then, get with the clerk's office. There's an application that they have to fill out to go in front of the, select board to be approved. You know, we would do a recommendation of a person. And then we would present it to the select board and they appoint that person. So that's the process.
I don't mind putting it on 143 to look that we're looking for somebody. That might help.
I
Okay,
think that's a
that'd be
good
great.
idea,
Yeah.
Gary. Yeah. Gives us a wider net.
Be great. All right.
Also, I would just mention, keep in mind that if you do find someone or more than one person in your travels, you are technically still a committee of 7, so you do have a few seats open.
I thought we reduced it from 7 to 4 to 5.
No, you never did.
Paul, are
Really?
you sure we didn't do that?
Yeah, so it went, the selectmen were supposed to do that. That was the last thing Lauren Lynn worked on for us. Yeah, we still have that letter that we sent them.
Yeah, we
There was
reduced
a
it.
draft letter, and
Yeah.
when I looked back in Lauren's records, I think that you guys, like, there was a mistake in the verbiage where, like, they were
Oh, yeah, the
asking
bottom,
for
the
7 or
last
something like that.
paragraph. Yeah,
And that was never fixed, so therefore it was never sent to the select board and it was never changed. So if you guys want to, I mean, you have options there. You can either move forward with that letter, and fixing that and then sending it out to the select board, or if you, I don't know, in your travels found 2 people that wanted to join, you do technically have the seats open right now.
okay.
That might
Well,
be-
we only have 4 now, so we essentially have 3 open.
Correct.
We have 5.
1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, 5. I'm not counting very well.
Well,
Yeah.
my position is just ex officio. So
Yeah,
that's
right,
not counting in the 7.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
it's
with-
7 seats for residents. So you do have 3 seats that are open.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Okay. I don't know. I guess we need to get it down to 5, and then if we can get more people, that's fine, but finding
Right,
one.
because, yeah,
Fine.
because right now we have to have 4 for a quorum and it would only be 3 if we had 5.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so there was a mistake in the letter. I didn't remember that. And then.
Yeah, there was a mistake in the letter and, so
Yeah,
it
it
was
was
kind
just
of
the
in
way
the
it said it
transition
was
of
gonna
Lauren.
go from 5 to 7, and we really wanted to go from 7 to 5.
Yeah, something like that. All right, I'll go ahead and take a look at the letter again and resubmit it. We'll look for another, we need people anyway, so let's go look at least one person at a time, just see if we can find one person who wants to join us. And then from there, we'll submit the letter to the board, get Jen's letter. We we wouldn't need her letter of resignation quite yet because the other two vacancies are there.
Oh, yeah.
So then we can add that person. And then we would just go to the board and eliminate the master planning position. So we wouldn't need her resignation. And whatever the other positions were, I'll take a look at the original letters. Because I think we had those posted on the website, Cassandra, right? And then you recirculated some of them from our original charter. So
The letter
no, there was
or the charge?
Yep. the charge that was on there. Yeah, there was an old one and then a revised one. So
Right, yes, I believe, I'm looking at your page now. And the charge that is currently on the website, let me see if it has a date. It has a date of August of 2020. So you have technically, the way that this is written, you have a representative from the Housing Authority, a representative from the Planning Board, a representative from Council and Elder Affairs, and then up to 4 citizens at large.
okay,
And then my position as ex officio. And then it also says, in addition, the steering committee is requesting that the following 3 committees appoint liaisons to the committee, which is Sewer Commission, Master Plan Implementation, and the Select Board.
right. So we have planning is not with us. They decided they don't want to be with us. So their seat is open.
Yes,
And Susan's representing housing, and Beth is representing Elder Affairs. And Mary and I are the 2 citizens at large.
You could also be the sewer.
I could also be the sewer representative.
Which hat?
Exactly.
so you would have 2 more citizens at large, and then the Planning Board rep.
Okay.
But that's if we have 7, right?
That
That's if
is
we
if
have
you have
7.
7. If
So
you
we can
bring it down
submit.
to 5, I would recommend not only specifying that you would like to bring it down to 5, but specifying what those positions are.
Yeah, so get rid of planning because they don't want to come.
Yeah,
they're
I would
they're
recommend
pretty,
that.
they're pretty busy. I think Elder Affairs and Elm Street were always where some of the subject matter used to lie with housing, and I don't know where anyone from the Housing Authority want to have a direct representative. I know Susan was on the board there, and she was on our committee because of that board, but then she left the board. They didn't have anybody to replace her, so she's now the liaison for them.
And Taffy seems comfortable with that, and the board seems comfortable with that, because I know Ginny Najimy is the representative to CPC for them, which is what I
Right.
used to.
So we just want to make sure that they're kept up to date with what we do, and you keep us up to date what they do in reference to, getting affordable housing in town. Certainly we can, to whatever extent we can help them or they can help us. If they have, empty units and, we can help get out the word. They need some help with whatever else they're doing, whatever we need to do to help each other on housing. That's the purpose of that. And I know with Elder Affairs and our board meetings there, we've often talked about housing and how seniors want to downsize and where they're going to go. Seems to be a recurring theme. So, all right. So over the next, month or two, we'll have to do a worldwide search for some folks that would want to join us. And then I'll clean up the letter and resubmit that to the select board. So we have some updates. Why don't we start with Mary and anything to do with Habitat or?
Yep.
Tomorrow.
I sent you all an email. It's, I'm sorry for a late distribution, but, I couldn't find my notes for a while. But anyway, let me go through what, what I'm reporting. There were some, gaps that I had asked Tamar to fill in, but, she didn't get back to me. So, anyway, apologies about that. But, I did go by the site and, it has been worked on, but the digging of the foundation is anticipated soon. I thought it was going to be this week, but it doesn't look like they've made too much progress since the last time I looked, which was a week or two ago. Construction had been delayed. A competitive bid was necessary for the foundation work. They're looking at late April to start the on-site volunteer participation. Under the event category, Tamara's all set up. She was all set up for the table at the rec fair. She couldn't make it and I couldn't make it, but she said had arranged for staffing. I haven't heard back from her how it went, but I'll get feedback when I can. I was hoping she'd come to the meeting today, but I think she has a late afternoon obligation most days. But anyway, but volunteers were supposed to be able to sign up at the rec fair, with donation jars, envelopes, etc. being available. The plan is to have a table at town meetings similar to last year. We're planning another year at the farmer's market bi-weekly through the summer. Under publicity, we anticipate publishing a weekly anchor article or posting on 143, sorry. Tomorrow we'll keep in touch with Stroll to offer information to be published monthly. Tomorrow expects to provide updates on Habitat's Facebook page. I guess they did that in Hingham. She will also post on the town manager weekly updates. I had asked specifically what they had on file so that we didn't have to reinvent the wheel, but unfortunately, Habitat hasn't kept previous articles and materials from other projects, such as construction update articles, to make it easier to post the various updates. Apparently, everything's going to have to be created from scratch. I hope they keep copies of that stuff for the next group. Under the volunteer category, there was a sign-up sheet at the rec fair. I have to say I haven't talked to her, and I was away for this weekend and we got tied up with something yesterday. But no, we did talk that no background checks are needed for volunteers, which I was surprised at. And then there'll be additional opportunities to reach out for volunteers will be forthcoming. Habitat will handle the registration and scheduling process for volunteers, especially creating timelines and forms. Habitat has a new computer program called Donor View that tracks the schedule, individual volunteer hours, and the hours they work, sorry. She anticipates booking groups on Thursdays and Fridays. I believe she said she already has 23 groups signed up, but I want to make sure that's right. So don't quote me on that. The build days run from 8:30 to 4. An on-site coordinator will welcome the workers and training will be provided before anyone starts work. Again, I need to hear back from her on my report here because it wasn't just Thursdays and Fridays, but I didn't write. I don't have a copy of what the other days were. As far as fundraising and donations, in-kind stuff, it would help for us to approach, or it would help for AHSC members to approach their usual tradespeople to provide in-kind. Habitat has a roster of usual participants and a history with them already, such as IBEW and Granite City for electrical. Other trades are needed, including plumbers, but IKEA usually donates cabinets, sorry. We need in-kind for tile, hardwood floors, windows. Home Depot and Lowe's usually help out. Under the house party, we haven't had any success recruiting sponsors for house parties. The current thought is to have a local event where we committee members could invite 2 or 3 friends to all meet at a neutral location in place of individual house parties. Also, we were looking at a couple of other parties comprised of, say, realtors or other local tradespeople. Any other suggestions? Welcome. Details are still to be worked out. Hoping that we can get a local venue such as the Red Lion Inn or somebody to donate space. they'd have to allow us to bring in snacks, would be a problem probably, and not because we can't afford anything. Need to consider other possible free and community locations. However, Tamar thinks serving alcohol is considered important, so some likely places may not work, like churches or Wilka Commons. We should meet with Rotary again. I will arrange that. And Tamara's agreed to contact Social Service League for a presentation and donations. Tamara would like us to support recruiting attendees for the Habitat event in May at Granite Links. And I have that. That's
May 9th, I think.
yeah, May 9th, 6:00. I did bring up the issue of churches, and Tamar says the Habitat bookkeeper, and I don't have her name, but Tamar, I asked Tamar for it, is very involved with a local Unitarian church. She has volunteered to take the lead on working with Cohasset churches. There's an interfaith council of all the churches in town where I thought we could make a presentation or just come to a meeting. I was wondering if Susan be interested in being a liaison with the Habitat bookkeeper. I think we're going to have to keep their feet to the fire over there on this, on the church stuff. And I get the sense that Tamara isn't as comfortable with churches as maybe others might be. So I was hoping that Susan might help intercede with the bookkeeper and kind of keep her, interested and find out what she's doing. Finally, under miscellaneous, Tamara said we could plan a trip to the site on a Saturday if we requested. She plans on putting up posters on Main Street to publicize the Granite Leaks event. She's contacting Launch to perhaps help with making snacks for workers. And she was going to try to attend the meeting today at 4:00, but obviously she's not here. So that's my report on Habitat.
All
I
right,
met almost 2 weeks ago.
quite comprehensive.
Well, I felt I'd let you guys down recently, so I felt I should write it all down and make it easier for meeting minutes too.
Yeah,
Any questions?
yeah, we
Or
just,
if-
we can just
Sure.
attach that email to the meeting minutes. And we're done.
Anybody have any questions?
No
So
question.
you said something about volunteers signing up rec fair to, I'd be curious as to do
Yep.
what, and, and
Oh,
then,
no. Oh, sorry.
yeah, and then, she's saying they're ready to start at the end of April.
The workers, yeah.
That's what they're anticipating, because I talked to Noreen Brown last Friday, and then I got an email from her today.
So, okay, so they're gonna start digging, maybe.
Yeah, they've had the problems with the ledge, and because they had committed not to blast, they're using some other technique. I don't know, Mary, if you know more about what it is, but it's some other technique that doesn't create the same noise level and reverberations and so on. But the company is tied up, it's going to be doing that, is tied up right now with a project in Wakefield. It's taking them
Oh.
longer than anticipated. So until they get that completed, they can't get the foundation and everything completely filled in to be able to start with the build up part.
I think it's just going to be a slab or a crawl space. So I'm hoping it doesn't involve too much, digging a whole foundation and doing all that stuff. But I don't have that information, but we can look it up.
Yeah, but even with the slab, you have to go, I think, was it 4 feet deep or something like that? You have
Oh,
to be able to,
oh, Yeah.
I think
Okay.
that's what it is. You have to have a certain depth to make it work. And I have been in touch with Chris Kennedy at Kennedy Country Gardens, and they're willing and eager to help be involved with the landscaping when it gets to that point, which won't be until probably next fall. And I'm submitting a proposal to the Community Garden Club of Cohasset, of which I'm a member, to request some funding to help pay towards the landscaping for it. And my husband is going to try to work up a little plan. He's a landscape architect. So
Oh, wow.
we're trying to cover the outside part at least. And then
Yeah.
obviously we can all be trying to dredge up people, and we'll go over and help. He's a good painter, my husband. And so he'll help painting,
Yep.
with painting, and, we'll all of us
Yep.
try to find
Yep.
people to come and help out. That's what it's all about. That's what Habitat's projects are. They're community build.
Yep. Well, I think once we didn't want to, we didn't want to reach out to the community on like 143 and those kinds of things until we had something we could promise in a better time frame. But,
Right.
you know, I think once the foundation work is done or is at least underway with anticipated dates, then we can, you know, reach out and say, and ask people to sign up. The sign up sheet at, the rec fair was supposed to be people who might be interested in working as volunteers, as construction volunteers. So, as I said, I haven't heard back how that went. As I said, I've got to come up with a better communication strategy with Tamar, but, because I don't have answers to some of these questions, but I can, you know, can look it up. I can get in there and send you an email in the next couple of days.
Okay, awesome. That would be great. Yeah. So, once we hear from her in a certain level of detail, so because people are going to ask us, you know, when, you know, I'm willing to paint. When do you want me to paint? It may
Yep.
not be, might not be till August, you know, I don't know.
Yeah, well, that's not until after they get all the interior,
Yeah.
exteriors built.
Yeah. So I'm sure there's a volunteer coordinator who's,
Yes,
Yeah, there is a woman named Melissa, somebody, I think.
Yeah.
that's just going to schedule the different people to come at different times. We're going to have people everywhere, right?
Yeah.
So. Okay, awesome. Thank you very much for that update.
Anybody have any further thoughts on, party stuff? You know, everybody's kind of shied away from it, and I don't blame you because I have too. But, I didn't know if anybody had any interest in doing any of that stuff or getting
Doing any
folks,
of what?
you know, getting some folks together for a party or, you
Oh,
know, an
okay.
outreach event.
Yeah, I want to find out from her what the fundraising things are, you know.
Yeah.
We're gonna start, you know, getting together and having a, you know, a cookout or something for Habitat for Humanity, then, you know, I want to know what the end game is from her. We never
Yeah.
get a straight answer, you know, so,
I asked when I saw her and she said she'd get back to me and I haven't heard. I said, the last I heard you were $70,000 short. Well,
Yeah.
no, I'm not sure. I'll get back. And
yeah,
so,
yeah, so, you know, there's you know, we could do things collectively and, you know, have some small event where we invite, you know, 20, 30 people.
Yeah.
And, you know, have a silent auction or some way of raising the money, you know.
Yeah.
To put some thought into, for sure. We can go canning at the dump. I haven't done that in a long time.
oh, another thing I don't know if I said, I think I missed this one. I'm gonna go back to, I did say, I'll go back to Rotary and hopefully, you know, we'll get some, now that we have, you know, more to talk about, you know, maybe we'll get some in kind or, physical donations from those folks.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping to do that in the next month or so.
Okay. Yeah, let's get some details from her because there's, you know, we just need collateral material and a plan that says
Yeah.
we're gonna ask for $5,000 and we're gonna have a bake sale. You know, that's
Yeah.
what we're gonna, I mean, or, you know, we could be selling Easter lilies right now and donating the money. You know what I mean? So these are things that we have missed opportunities on because we haven't got a detailed plan yet. So once we get it from them, we can figure out what to do.
Yep.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Uh,
Mary, I do have one question. Excuse me, Paul. Mary, what did she say with your discussion about the realtors?
She was very interested in it. You know, I said, you know, I said, you know, I thought I could put it together, at least together with a, you know, a local realty company to sponsor it and to organize it and stuff. So she was interested in it, but I kind of said, that you know, I would help, you know, sort of take the lead on putting that together. So, again, I don't know what the ask is because we don't have a figure to ask for. So, I just want to
Well, we know
report.
yeah, we know there's a gap. So
Yeah.
whatever the figure is, there's a gap. And Beth, how do you think that'll be received by the various realtor offices?
I don't know, but I was gonna say that the social realtors, I know other towns have posted, like, as far as physical volunteers, I can post that on the Realtor board when they're looking for volunteers. There's a lot of people out there, even just among the realtors, that will go and help at different sites. So
Well, that sounds good.
I think at this stage, it sounds like to me, we're moving more towards into getting people physically at the site. And every time we've tried to approach her about money, we don't seem to get a real answer. And what we noticed at the gala last year was they seem to have their sources, you know?
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
they do.
Seems like they're still lacking a chunk, but I don't know how much the chunk is. And that's where I thought maybe approaching the various realtor offices in town, that each of the offices might be willing to each kick in as a cumulative amount from their office, not, each.
Yeah.
And, but
Yeah.
from the offices, because they
Oh,
each
yeah,
get,
that's what, yeah. That's what,
You know,
that's what I was
the
hoping.
office itself gets commissions from all the sales. And
Yeah.
let's face it, housing prices have gone up and up and up and up, even in the 8 years that this project first got started, in the very embryonic stage. So, I don't know, just seemed like that would be a fair ask.
Yeah.
But I don't know, Beth, what your thoughts are. I mean, you're not representing every realtor I recognize, but I mean,
If we could, come up with sort of a plan to, I would approach each office and just say, hey, would you, you know, put out the word that we're looking for donations or something. I don't know. We need something more structured though than,
Well, I kind of volunteered to do it because I didn't want you to be putting in the position of,
well, I know just about, I know all the people in all the offices in
Yeah.
town. It would make more sense.
Yeah.
But I guess we need to figure out, well, what is it we want them to do?
well, maybe you and I once if I ever hear back from Tamar, then I can get in touch with you to find out what we might want to do for a plan. Like I
Okay.
said, it took me going over there to her office. Actually,
when
once
that one time she wasn't there or something,
they
right?
weren't, yeah, they weren't even there. They put a notice on the door saying they were closed. Apparently they had
They all
COVID,
had
but
COVID. Yeah.
and then the next time we were supposed to get together one day and she said, oh, I can't do it today. So I finally got over after the third time. So it's not, I like meeting one-on-one with people, but that didn't work out that well. So, but I did get what I wanted, most of what I wanted. So
And what's everyone thinking about the gala?
We're out of town, so I know I can't go.
I've got a conflict and I'm not, I feel like I put in a lot of work here and I don't feel as obligated as I did last year. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat a little bit. I know.
I just figured I would buy the tickets, but I wasn't necessarily going to go.
Yeah,
Oh.
we had such a low turnout here in Cohasset for our own stuff. I mean, we were the only ones, us in the trust, that really went.
Well,
Yeah.
that was what, I think we all talked about that night, was a little disconcerting too, because a few people said to me, if they had put the word out, there were a lot of people in town that it would have made more sense to have there than who was
Yeah.
there. And I felt like it was their usual suspects that were there. So,
Yeah, it was, yeah.
and their usual suspects are the ones that pony up the rest of the money. So that's why I'm less worried about the money piece of it than when they want physical bodies. I think that's when
Yeah.
getting people to go help is what we can do.
Yeah.
That's
I could
very
have asked, I didn't. I could have asked Noreen about the money when I talked to her last Friday, but I was talking to her about the landscape aspect of it to see if they had any figures of what they usually allocate to that and plans, just whether they had any plans of what they normally did or anything. But if you don't get anywhere with Tamara on the money, I can certainly reach out to Noreen.
Okay.
Yeah. So
I thought she was going to be here today, so I didn't, I wanted to get the summary from the meeting, at least as correct as I could. And I focused on that, but the other questions, I'll have to get back to her.
okay. So
Yeah.
as soon as we get another update, maybe we could just break it into 3 groups for her, you know. What are you doing for money? What are you doing for people, volunteers, and then what
Yeah.
do you, and then the in-kind piece of it. If they're all set with, you know, electric and lumber, then we don't have to worry about the in-kind thing, you know, so just let us know on those
Yeah.
3 categories, you know, what do you got? If you're 100% covered on in-kind donations, then we're not going to waste our time.
I know they're not 100% covered on in-kind. I mean,
Yeah.
there are other things that they need help with.
Yeah, but then they
know.
need to be specific.
Yeah,
and
they need to,
what we're looking for.
yeah, we need a list, so.
Well, she said they need plumbers.
Yeah, but just
Tile,
because we need plumbers, what
hardwood
do you
floors,
need plumbers
windows.
to do? What do you need them to
Well,
do?
bathrooms, kitchens, whatever the plumbing is that goes into the house.
Yeah, but are they supposed to, they looking for them for labor, or are they
Yeah.
looking at them for like material?
I think
think-
they
I
want
think-
both.
Both, yeah.
Yeah,
Well, let's get a
but
list from, we need a in-kind service providers, which if you just want a plumber to show up and you have all the materials there, just let us know what that is,
Okay.
you know? And if there's materials, raw materials they need, like tile or like sinks, then they should let us know.
Yeah.
And then obviously the general volunteers to help out. Which, you know, you have your usual suspects like the high school kids, sports teams, scouts, you know, church groups, you know, all that stuff.
Yeah.
So we need to know that, and then the cash side of it, you know,
Yep.
it's just really 3 categories.
if they were already set for cash, I don't think she would be pushing to want to try to do these house parties or some
Yeah.
kind of, you know, I mean, I can't believe that they're completely set for cash.
Yeah. I'm
Because
sure
they
that-
wouldn't be pushing to try to do these other events.
Well, let's find out.
Yeah. And the question is, if they need money because they don't have, do they need money because they don't have in kind? And if they get in kind, do they not need, you know,
Funny,
as much
yeah.
money? Or is there a set amount of money they're gonna need, whether it's in kind or not, you know, so, that's the question I have, so.
These are all good questions for tomorrow.
All righty.
Good luck.
Maybe Paul, I can put you on a phone call too, since I don't, you know, I don't seem to have as much leverage as you might, so. Even if it's a 3-way phone call for, you know,
Whatever you
10
want to
minutes.
do. Yep,
Okay,
problem.
all righty.
All right, so moving on, let me give you some other subcommittee updates. I did attend the Cohasset Affordable Housing Trust meeting on March 13th. And we discussed two main housing issues, which is 147 South Main Street. That's the gas station building that burnt down across from St. Anthony's. So he was putting 3 apartments there, and he volunteered to deed one of them as affordable housing, and he had been reminded over the last 7 or 8 months that he needed to file the paperwork sooner than later because it takes a while. He did not do that. So he went to go file the paperwork and found out it's going to take, you know, 6 or 9 months. So he came in front of the trust to say, hey, I can't really do that right at the moment because I can't afford a vacant apartment. So I can't let it sit for 9 months without a tenant. And I also need to convert my construction loan to a regular 30-year mortgage. And I can't wait for deed restrictions and try and have that tie it up. So basically what was suggested was that he was going to look at how the income is calculated for affordable housing and perhaps rent it to somebody based on that calculation, still proceed forward with doing all of the paperwork to deed restrict the property. So maybe in 9 or 10 months, it'll be deed restricted, and the tenant who he put in there would already qualify under the income, so he could have a smooth transition. So that's what was recommended. And he said that he would move on that path. Cassandra, I don't know if you have any updates, or do you think that's pretty much sums it up?
I would say that pretty much sums it up. The trust is planning to meet tomorrow morning to further discuss it, since they weren't able to discuss it fully as a group at their last meeting. But I do know that there will be some members, including Steve, that will not be able to attend tomorrow morning's meeting. So I don't know how far they're going to get with rectifying that agreement.
Okay. So he went to the trust to seek funding to help defer the cost of setting it up with the state, using a consultant that specializes in setting up folks for affordable housing. So he has to go back to the trust and say, hey, here's my plan. So they didn't have a quorum at first, so it was just an open discussion, and then I think they ended up getting a quorum a little bit later on. So there were a couple of updates based on that quorum that were given there. Well, the other thing I talked about is part of our affordable housing house count, unit count. We were counting on One Pleasant Street to have 14 units rented and be part of our housing stock. As we all know, they were going in front of the planning board to request a change to what they originally approved for, which was mixed use rental. They wanted to go to the planning board to get approval to have it mixed use condominiums. So I was on to oppose the change that they recommended they do, or the request that they put in was to make the first floor one condominium for the sole purpose of renting it to the town for a town hall. The second floor would be 14 condominium units that would be sold at whatever the market rates are, and 4 of those would remain deed restricted. So we would only get credit for 4 units instead of the whole 14. So I was there representing the Affordable Housing Steering Committee, and I recognize that the property owner has the right to switch from apartments to condos or condos to apartment. That's within his rights. The planning board does not have the authority to say, you know, what he can and can't do with his property other than what's in the guidelines of the town bylaws, right? So what I asked them to do is hold off their decision until after the June town meeting, in which there'll be an article in the warrant asking to buy the condominium between $3 and $4 million for the purpose of using it as a town hall. If that passes, then it would go a week later, I believe, to the voters, and everyone in town would have to vote to purchase that condominium for the purpose of a town hall. So my suggestion to them would be, let's hold off until then. Let's wait. If the town-wide election votes to purchase the building, then go ahead and have them convert it to condos. If they don't vote for it, leave it as apartments. But the property owner said that it was not, it wasn't going to be feasible for him to wait much longer to sit on a vacant building. So he felt that if they converted it to condos now, that he could start selling them off and start to recoup cash that vacant building. So they voted 4-1 in favor of converting it to condominiums. So Clark Brewer was the only one who opposed it. And kind of that was the end of it. So I don't know what the next steps are, other than it goes on the warrant for town meeting. I don't haven't heard from them. They haven't come in front of the sewer commission yet. for approval on sewer. So I'm not sure where that stands. So that's the two updates I have from the Affordable Housing Trust. I let them know that was where we're at. During that meeting, we just wanted to get clarification from Cassandra on where we are for the housing count. So right now, primarily due to getting Stop and Shop under the radar on to the numbers for the 2020 census, that got us to 10.19. So we're just over the 10% on 30B. So we're about 6 houses to the plus, 6 units to the plus.
But with new construction, it does continue. I imagine there's,
Correct. So according to Cassandra, we're safe until 2030. But if we don't increase affordable housing at a ratio to regular housing, come 2030, we're not going to be in compliant. We could be at 5%, we could be at 9.2%, or if we do well, maybe we'll be at 10.3. I don't know. So that's kind of where we are with the housing. So I thought that even though we were at 10.19 and we fall below 10% within these 10 years, I thought we were still kind of exposed, because we always talked about having that safe harbor provision. So I don't know, Cassandra, if you can explain the safe harbor provision, if that no longer applies because we're over 10%, or how does that work? Because we have that.
Correct. You're over the 10% now. And it's basically whatever the state says, and that is based on the census numbers. So that number is not going to change until the new census comes out.
Yeah.
So you will continue to carry that 10.19% until the new census numbers come out. At that point, obviously, it will change. Whether or not it goes up or down is undetermined at this point. So you are in safe harbor until that number changes.
So we don't have to reapply for safe harbor every 3 or 5 years or anything like that?
Nope.
We're automatically in because of the 10.19.
Correct.
Okay. Because I knew when we did the housing plan as part of the master plan, that gave us safe harbor, right?
Mhm.
So
So
we're at
the
9.5 at that time, I think.
so the housing production plan, I looked into that. You can have safe harbor because of that, but it has to be an accepted plan by the state, which we have not had it accepted yet because you only get the safe harbor from that for a certain period of time, and then it's kaput. I mean, the plan is still good, but you only get that safe harbor. I think it's for like 2 years or something like that.
Yeah, I know they had an
Um,
question on it.
So I think we had held off from having it certified just in case we needed to use it when the new census numbers came out. Does
Okay,
that make sense?
it does, yeah. So now that we're over the 10%, should we still review the housing production plan? Or is that,
I mean, you could review it and make edits to it if you wanted, through that process, but I would hold off on having it certified unless you need to. Because once you have it
Seems-
certified, it can't get recertified.
yeah, it seems like we don't really need to have that tool until the 2030 census comes out.
Yes.
That's when we need to have an updated housing production plan.
yeah,
I mean,
I'm just
having
I
one
think
that's
I think it
6
would be
years
good to
old.
update it around then, regardless.
yeah, I don't
just-
want to wait till 2030, right? 10 years from now to update it. I mean,
No.
if we updated it once every 2 years or something like that, just to add what we've been doing to it, then it's kind of a working document towards 2030.
Sure. I mean, it's a living document,
Yeah.
I would recommend that it get updated regularly, maybe not every 2 years, maybe every 2 years, maybe every 5 years, whatever you guys decide. But yeah, I think that waiting until 2030 would be too long.
I didn't mean
But-
wait till then, but I mean, you need to prepare it in anticipation of the 2030 census.
Yeah, we have one already.
Sure.
So we just want to update it periodically so that by the time 2030 gets here, it's easily submitted.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay. We can put that on our radar. So then the next kind of question I had for Cassandra was asking her to put together some sort of summary for us to better understand the MBTA overlay district. I don't know what they're calling it officially for the town, but so I was told by a select board member that technically all of the MBTA requirements were 40R housing and that none of it required affordable housing and that the state laws trumped the town bylaws. Tom Callahan said that no, if they put up a 200 unit apartments, then 20% would still have to be deemed affordable. So I wanted to get clarification on that. So I don't know, Cassandra. It's only been 2 weeks, but I don't know, that what the
Yeah.
real truth is. It could be urban myth kind of mixed in there.
I think there is a lot of confusion around the law. And I think that because the law has changed so much since it first came out, that there's just a lot of speculation.
Okay.
The inclusionary zoning would still apply, just as any of the other towns' bylaws would still apply. So essentially, the zoning is just to zone to have multifamily housing as a right. So it's just an overlay zone, it's just for zoning. But everything else would still be applicable. So the inclusionary zoning, like you said, if somebody were to come in and build 200 units, the other bylaws would still apply.
So what that means for us is that our number doesn't go up and it doesn't go down. So it's basically a net zero for us, meaning that, if somebody comes in like Avalon and puts in 200 units, 20% of them have to be affordable. So we still have that same ratio of affordable housing. So we'll still be at 10.19% kind of thing. It doesn't get worse for us, but it doesn't get better either. It kind of stays the same because the ratio of the mix stays the same.
What does 40R mean?
40R is generally called workforce housing, where there are housing units available to people who qualify at a little bit higher income level or a combined income level for workforce housing, they call it. It's been really popular in the state. And as soon as they're up, they're lotteried off for really, really fast. They don't stay on the market very long. And but they don't count towards affordable housing.
Doesn't it allow for only up to 120% of the mean average income?
Yeah, they have a different calculation than 40B.
Percent is what I recall from.
Yeah, and the
my
40R
research.
has a footprint too. It's like 900 square feet or 800 square feet to 1,200 square foot dwelling or something like that. I forget what it is. There's a range.
800 to 1,200?
I think so, if I remember
12.
correctly. We'd gone through this many years ago, the difference between 40R and 40B. And, there's an opportunity in Cohasset to put a couple of small bungalows, freestanding bungalows in a neighborhood kind of thing that would be 40R, they would always have to be restricted by square footage.
Oh, okay. And Cassandra, have they laid out where these overlays are? Is it just along 3A or where is it?
It's a
Yes,
half hour
yes to
radius,
both
isn't it?
those. So there is an proposed overlay district with a map. I can email that to you guys
That'd be
after
interesting.
this meeting.
It's only down by the train station, believe it or not.
Correct.
Oh.
Yeah.
So
And
it's
it's not
Lower
Yeah,
King,
overlaid.
Lower King, right? That where Storage Wars is?
It is over in that area.
Yeah, it's
It's
over in
not
that area.
in any of the residential areas. It's only in the commercial areas.
So like from Storage Wars to Williams Sand and Gravel kind of thing.
Mhm.
Landscape, yeah, that area.
But up that hillside up there, because I was just at Peak Physical Therapy today, and you'd go up that driveway where the storage facility is. And that part of the overlay includes that hillside up there, which is quite steep. You know, you'd be
Yeah.
it's like building, you know, like in Northern California where we used to live, where the houses are, you know, right up the hill.
Yeah. So that's pretty much where it is.
Yeah, that's part of it.
So that's kind of where we are, for any
Does that-
of the updates.
Is that going to town meeting? The overlay?
Yes,
is.
it is.
Okay.
I was really disappointed in the small turnout for that presentation that Tom did. We watched on the Zoom. You know,
Yeah,
but very-
unfortunately, there hasn't been a great turnout for people who are willing to educate themselves about it. I've recently been trying to put out some posters and other like informational material just to kind of get the word out there. We're also exploring, we don't have a date selected yet, but Chris Senior does want to hold another forum just to kind of get the word out there.
Yeah.
well, they come out of the woodwork when something starts to happen, though.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So the question I have, Cassandra, prior to you coming on board, all the way at the last property on North Main Street, there was a cape that was sold, and it had a number of acres with it abutting wetlands. And a gentleman was going to put in 22 apartments there.
Oh, yeah.
And he thought it was going to qualify under this MBTA ruling. But Lauren said that he can't qualify under any of it because none of it is in place. That when it did go in place, then maybe he would qualify, but I don't see that in the district at all, so I don't think it would ever
Correct.
qualify.
Correct. Yeah,
Okay.
the location that he was originally proposing is not within the proposed district.
Okay,
So
it would
even
be covered
Build
under that.
something that's within a half mile or a mile or whatever the radius is, I can't recall, but even if you create a new development that's within that radius of the train station, if it's not within the overlay district that has been prescribed and voted and approved, it's not going to count.
So the district is to zone for multifamily housing as a right. If it is outside of that district, you would have to abide by whether or not multifamily housing is allowed in the other district that wherever you're proposing it is. If it's not allowed as a right, then maybe it's by special permit, and then you have to go through the special permit process. Obviously that depends on what district you're looking to build in. But if he were to, or he or anybody were looking to build within this district, a multifamily unit, that would be as of right, provided it's accepted.
And so for the location where he's had proposed that, Paul and Cassandra, is a multifamily unit project allowed by right?
No,
It's not in that area. Okay.
no, so he would have to go to planning board and
And get a special permit then.
that's where get all whatever it takes to put it in. Same with the person who wants to put in apartments on North Main Street, you know, between Forest and Dolan or whatever it is, or not, yeah,
Dolan.
Dolan,
Yeah,
yeah.
but
Up
gonna be
in the back
enormous.
there.
That's
that was
insane.
gonna be enormous. That was crazy. This one is not crazy. It's a very reasonable size.
Yeah, no, I thought it made sense, could make sense, yeah. But
And
So I
it's
don't
a
know.
budding, of course,
Yeah.
so it's not like, I don't know. I don't see why that would have been objected to myself.
wasn't it that he didn't have all the information, like when he went to the select board or something?
So they said, well, you know, table it until you can get, you know, more information for us.
And he seemed a little hesitant too, anyway, because about what money was out there or what tax incentives and stuff like that.
Yeah, he was going down a path that was not conducive to how the planning board goes about doing what they do. So I don't, there was a lot of talks about those specified districts and what was allowed and not allowed. And I remember Lauren telling us, well, we don't have that in place here, so even if we put it in place later and you already built now, it doesn't count. It doesn't qualify because it wouldn't qualify in something that was existing. So anything that's existing doesn't count. So he said he would suspend his plans.
No.
Yeah, so that's where we're at. I don't know if anyone had anything else, any other updates. Don't recall anything else on the housing sites, general updates or subcommittee updates. Does anyone else have anything?
No.
Any public comments from anyone?
No.
Does anybody know what the latest is with the what is the address that's on South Main Street next where the
55?
147 South Main, the garage?
No,
That one.
55.
55 or whatever it is,
Oh,
the address?
the gas station in town.
Yeah,
There
Yeah.
have been no updates on that.
It's just
So
dead.
did they sell the property?
It-
I don't
it-
know. There have been no updates. We don't know.
Yeah.
Regardless.
There was a public auction is what was published in the paper, but I don't know what the result of that auction was.
But I don't know who bought it or what their plan is. If anybody knew anything about that.
Right, no.
Uh,
So whoever owns it could continue fixing cars there or go to the planning board and say, hi, I want to put in apartments. So
Yeah.
that's kind of how that works. All right, Carol, did you have anything you wanted to have under public comments?
Oh, Mary.
No, oops, hold on. I'm working, but no, I just
Okay.
wanted to attend this meeting and find out what's going on. As it relates to getting the word out, even though I've subscribed to some meeting notifications, I don't get them consistently, and I'm a heavy user of the internet. So it may be that not everyone gets notifications, and I didn't know about the event that was that folks were disappointed about the turnout for either. So
Habitat, yeah.
I don't know how to
Well,
get the word here. With
No,
those.
maybe the information.
Glad to
Let's
see,
talk
learn
about the overlay
more
district.
about what you guys are doing. Thanks.
Yeah, we met, we met Carol
Okay.
on we met her
Great.
at the Christmas stroll. So, welcome back again. I know you've been to one of our other meetings before and,
You could be our citizen at large.
yeah,
Exactly.
we have open
Say we-
seats, Carol. You can be you can be a member of the committee anytime you want.
Silence.
All right. So, so our next meeting is April 16th is the suggested meeting date. That is a Tuesday.
Correct. And you also have minutes to approve.
Oh, yeah. I move that we approve the minutes as submitted
Oh.
by Beth for the February meeting.
Second,
All in favor?
aye.
Aye,
All right.
Thank you, Beth.
You're
Thank
welcome.
very well done.
And are we all in agreement with the 16th?
Yep.
Okay, so Cassandra, the 16th is a good one.
Okay.
And do we have a motion to adjourn?
I just have a question. Cassandra, does Tamar get the meeting announcements or the meeting,
Invite?
invites?
I believe that she's typically aware of when your meetings are. I have been
Okay,
inviting her.
I just,
Okay.
since we have a spotty record of her coming and it's getting really important for her to be here. And I did remind her last week to come. But if you could make sure she's on the distribution list to come. Thank you so much.
And maybe with a link to the Zoom for her in particular, it may be
Yeah.
just less complicated for her to not have to go through the town website and go through all that.
Yeah, the meeting invite that I do typically send her has the meeting information with the link.
Good.
Yep, so she's been getting them. Yep,
Okay.
awesome. Well, happy Easter, everyone.
All right,
Yeah.
bye, everybody.
Happy
Thanks.
to everybody. How are you feeling,
Okay.
Susan?
We had
I'm
a,
getting better. Thanks, Mary. You know, it's been a slow process, but I drove for the first time yesterday a little bit, you know, just
Yippee.
down and back, not too far, but I'm getting there. Thank
Okay.
you.
so
Great.
so Beth, thank you for your motion to adjourn. I second.
All in favor? Aye.
So
Aye.
moved. Aye.
Already- We
Thank you.
already.
All right, we'll see you later.
Thanks,
Right,
everyone.
bye.
Take care.
Bye, guys.